Welcome in to the latest edition of Extra Time. Frank LeBoeuf is with us, joined by Stevie and Ali. A lot of people asking about your welfare after that late goal, Stevie. How is your blood pressure after the big foul and then the goal?
I was strangely calm today.
It's two legs, it's rubbish.
Yeah, exactly.
Make it one leg, Carabao.
Yeah, I mean, 0-0. Bad performance would have been perfect. Well, not perfect, but it would have been acceptable. But 1-0.
Yes.
1-0's okay.
Yeah, not the end of the world.
No, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Stevie, should Slot learn from Klopp? Should Slot learn from Klopp? And instead of competing for 4 trophies, prioritise the Premier League and the Champions League?
I was thinking that earlier today.
Well, you've got Accrington Stanley coming up at the weekend, so you're not going to play that full team there, are you?
Well, the thing is, he did make changes today. I mean, he changed 3 of the back 4.
Well, lots of people started, but some didn't notice.
You know, Jota started as well. So, you know, he's rotated. I would agree, if Liverpool are at the end of 4 tournaments the way they were last season,
Yes, it was. Yeah,
it just became too much, so it's hard to want to not go and win a game, particularly when you get to a semi-final. No, you just got to go and try. You got to try and be smart. You got to put on the field what you think will win, and if that means you can get away with leaving a couple of players out that would normally start, if it was a cup final, for example, then you do it, and you try and do it that way.
Frank, what did you want to add, sir?
Just I think you should have rotate a little bit more in a way that, as we mentioned, it's a first leg of a semi-final. So you will have that game, then you have the FA Cup game against Accrington, I think.
Yes.
So you will have an opportunity to rest players, and they need a rest. They had a tough winter time, so now they need a rest before starting the craziness of the end of the season with the Champions League and the Premier League. I think it would have been more clever to rest like Van Dijk, for example. He played many games, and some others, to make sure, Salah, for example, to make sure that, they can play the second leg. I think it would have changed big time, you know, and against that Tottenham's team, it would have been good enough to have the C team for me.
To be honest, Frank, if you look at it, you know, he did make 4 changes to the starting 11 that started against United, and he made it about 4 or 5 changes during the game as well. So, you know, he really is using everybody that he can.
Right.
So I don't really have a problem with it.
OK, let's talk balls. Given Arteta's comments on the Carabao Cup ball, was there a particular ball that you didn't like, Frank? I personally find the Champions League ball to be too slick when wet. That's not me. That's
at first, when I signed for Chelsea, we had to play with the how do you call that? The mitre?
Mitre.
I don't know.
Mitre.
Mitre ball. It was, for me, smaller than the Adidas ball that we used to play in France. And that was complicated. I have to say that it was flying a little bit more, it was complicated, so you need more than what Stevie explained during the game and during the show by the MLS final, that you have the ball 2 days before. You needed more, because that's changed a lot. Everything, your technique, the way you see the ball coming, I mean, that was flying more. That was complicated, but after a while, you know, you get used to it. And no, I never complain about anything and any brand that I was struggling with.
But what year did you join Chelsea, Frank?
When I joined in 1996.
Right, it must have been just before you came, because I played for Sheffield Wednesday at Chelsea. It'd been 95, I think.
OK.
And they had a white ball that was... Frank's talking about the mitre one being smaller. They had a white ball. I've never used it ever before and never used it since. And it was bigger. And you've got Zola and people like that smashing this thing 70 yards.
Right.
And we'd never
Just to
come
put some
across a
background
ball.
into this is back in Stevie's day, where there wasn't one ball. It wasn't like a Premier League ball. There wasn't a Champions League ball. Every club had their own ball.
Every club had their own ball, and no surprise, people like Wimbledon and these teams used to use a cabbage if they could. I mean, it was obviously a training ball. I mean, they would do anything to try and upset you.
OK.
But that one at Chelsea
what was it about the cabbage that made it so difficult to play with? Is it like a practice ball if you're playing golf, for example, like a range ball?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't perform the way.
Right.
So at home we would use the Adidas.
Yep.
Which is, you know, If you hit it clean, it went. If you didn't hit it clean, then it didn't go as well. You know, so it was all about rewarding, you know, proper football, proper players, good passing, sweet strikes. Whereas the cabbage, I mean, you just couldn't do anything with it.
Did you have a cabbage?
Well, you remember early days MLS, the Kappa Bowl?
Yeah.
That was, might as well have been cabbage.
Really?
And honestly, balls itself, they have gone kind of crazy. They sort of make up this, well, not make up, but they have this technology now, and it flies like this, and it breaks through the wind like that, and it's lighter than this. Man, there was nothing wrong with an old school tango ball or an Azteca.
Tango, that's the one. Yeah,
tango ball or an Azteca ball, and you hit it. If you hit it cleanly, then that ball would go, as Stevie just mentioned. But you had to be a good striker of the ball, because otherwise the ball was heavy enough to where if you didn't hit it cleanly, now the ball wasn't going to go to where you were intending it to go. Now these balls, they do have. I think there's more room for mistake in today's balls than there was 25, 30 years ago. Yes, more forgiving. Absolutely.
Was Stevie right all along?
Can I say something about Dan? Can I say something about the ball that I had the chance to be invited? I'm going to do a little bit of a commercial, but I've been invited by Louis Vuitton to see the big luggage that they made, that they created to all the football of every World Cup.
Okay, cool.
And it's crazy that you open that, and every World Cup, and the one I remember is a '74, my first one, that the first time I watched a World Cup was the '74, but the '70 as well. And for every World Cup, you had a special design of football. That's amazing. I mean, if people love football, you have to see that, because you see how the football improved, and by itself, but also the history of it. Because we all have in mind, behind you have, I think, something like between the 70 and the 74, maybe the 78 football, which didn't exist after that. And we changed dramatically the design of it. That's absolutely fantastic. You have to see that. That's a piece of history for football.
Oh, very cool, Frank. How do we see that? Or do we have to have won the World Cup?
We have.
Call me and I arrange something.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm not that bothered.
Okay.
Was Stevie right all along with Newcastle not regressing and just had an injury crisis last season?
Well, I think you should answer that.
No, I don't think that's the case, is it? They got their players back towards the end of last season and still were rubbish. And they started this season.
That's not an excuse. Liverpool got their players back and were rubbish.
What?
Just because you get your players fit doesn't mean they're 100% ready to go and be the players they were previously. And if you need if you need convincing of that, go and watch Liverpool at the end of last season when they got everybody back. But were still terrible because they weren't sharp and they weren't fit enough.
Into every conversation. It's about Newcastle.
Just telling you.
Newcastle were my tip to finish in the top 4, and they're looking good for that at the moment. They have no European football. They can concentrate on one game a week, which I think helps them considering their lack of depth in the squad.
Just like he made it about Liverpool, you just made it about your tip.
Well, yes, my tip was Newcastle, though, so we're just intertwining.
Okay.
So
and actually, I tipped Newcastle be 4th as well, Daniel.
There we are. Well done, us.
Good
Thank
tippers.
You.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good job, guys.
Right, start bench or drop these lot, Frank. Havertz, Jackson, Jesus.
Oh, cool. Cool, blimey.
I mean, that's a joke, you know. Start, bench, and drop what? In the worst?
Number
starting
9.
from the worst to the best, or?
Yeah.
Well. Whew. Oh my God, that's a nightmare. I think because of what Gabriel Jesus was capable of showing in his prime with Manchester City, I will have to start him. Then I will put Nicolas Jackson on the bench because he works hard, never gives up. I like the mentality. And I have to drop Kai Havertz. I mean, the guy is talented, but he hasn't got the mentality of the players I love watching. You can be bad, but I don't like having the feeling that you are giving up. And Kai Havertz, in so many, so many times I've seen him, you know, giving up, being invisible, and that I didn't like.
Does anyone like to add their 2 pennies? Ali, you're a striker.
Well, I'm going with Frank. Jesus.
Yeah.
Jackson and Havertz, yeah.
I agree. I concur.
I'm going to answer this one for you. Okay. Which one of you has played the most in different positions? Looking at Archie Gray today, I believe the gentleman to my far left has played a lot of position. Goalkeeper, tick.
Played in every position.
All across the back four.
Yep.
All the way across the midfield.
Yep.
Striker.
Yep.
When did you play striker?
I played for Ayr United, my first team.
Look at that.
So I obviously started well with them, and so they obviously decided to see how I would do up front.
Right.
And it lasted 30 minutes. I'm not a striker.
Oh, brilliant.
I'm not a striker.
But at one stage you were the top scorer in the Premier League, yeah?
I was, yes.
Yeah. How many games in?
I think it was 6 games in, I had 8 goals.
Yes. Oh, look at that. Go on, Stevie.
Yep.
What about you, Frank? Centre-back, centre-mid, I imagine, at some stage?
I played midfield number 10 for half a season for Strasbourg, my second season. I played right back once against the Gunners at, what was the former stadium? What was the former stadium? I forgot the name.
Highbury.
Highbury, and I was so bad that I pretended I was injured and I went out after 20 minutes.
Wow.
I didn't know what to do on the right side.
That's where the acting career started.
And,
there it is.
Yeah.
And what was your favourite?
And
Oh, Frank's still talking.
oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I thought the music was playing.
no, it's all right. But you know what? You know what? I would have loved to play as a number 6. I would have loved to play a number. I played a couple of times in number 6, but I didn't have the lungs of a Vieira or Keane or Petit to play for 90 minutes for all season long and a career at the number 6. But I loved being in the middle of the park. That was great. And I finished second best striker in the season in League 2 for Laval and Strasbourg that I signed after for 6 months.
Oh,
Second,
wow.
19 goals in one season.
Wow.
Oh, wow, 19 penalties, Frank. Good going, eh?
So is there a pause there?
Almost.
Hashtag FC Extra Time. Which one was your favourite position?
Do you know what? I really enjoyed playing centre-back.
Okay.
But I had a great time playing left-back behind John Barnes.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's not bad, is it?
Oh, it's great. Great fun.
yeah.
Great fun.
Final question is for you, Ali.
Okay.
How is your New Year's resolution going of being more approachable?
Uh-huh.
Have you made any new friends?
Well, I would say that I have been slower to anger.
Right. Oh.
I think people in my family would agree with that.
Wow.
And I don't know that I've been any more approachable because I haven't actually gone out all that much in the new year.
Well, still time.
Yeah, no, I feel very
Trending
good.
in the right direction.
I feel very good about my resolutions so far, so good.
Never
Wonderful.
thought about anger management classes, no?
No,
No, not that bad.
I don't think that's quite where I'm at.
No, okay, good.
Okay.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah.
That
Glad
is
to hear
wonderful.
it.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being with us today. Thank you very much, Frank. Just a reminder, we'll be back on your screens tomorrow. Our focus will be very much on Real Madrid against Mallorca in the Spanish Super Cup semi-final. Be sure to join us.